Why an area of low pressure will try to develop along a frontal boundary in our area. Your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Okay, friends, welcome back here to Meteo Mundo. We're your home for Caribbean weather. Rusty McCranie with you. Hope you're doing well. I hope you had a great weekend. Good to see you on this Monday. Coming up in this video, we've got some active, windy, stormy weather to talk about in portions of our area. That wind really cranking up again. We'll talk about trying to get that broad spin we mentioned in the last video, how it's going to play out here in the Atlantic and where it could be moving towards the end of the week, and so the impacts it could bring, and also the impacts of a cold front coming into places like the Bahamas. As always, I'd love to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comment section below where you're viewing from, what the weather has been like. We'll get started. Enhanced satellite imagery, live lightning data. The numbers that you see are wind gusts in miles an hour. It's been another windy day through portions of the Greater Antilles and portions of the Leeward Islands as well. Look at that 67 mile an hour wind gust with a cold front coming through the southeast United States. That is going to blast another round of some cooler, drier air for the Bahamas, but also the opportunity for some rain ahead of it, something that they haven't seen a lot of here in a while. Surface analysis, high pressure is building in over the western Atlantic right now, so still deep in the dry air into the Bahamas right now. We have this trough along a stationary boundary, and along that trough we have a lot of lift in the atmosphere. And we're getting showers and storms to develop there. Now it's mainly north of the islands, but some of it has trickled back down. We also have our strong easterlies that are still coming into play, and then relatively tranquil conditions at the hour for our friends in the western side of the Caribbean. So back over to the enhanced satellite imagery, that trough that I showed you extends just north of the Lesser Antilles, not more than a couple hundred miles north of places like Anguilla or the British Virgin Islands. But look at that concentration again. As the energy develops along that trough line, just that lift, you get this piece of energy just sitting there. It's not moving much, but look at all of the lightning. All lightning count has really spiked late on this Monday afternoon. It's a very interesting feature here. And again, that could derive the opportunity for something in the lower levels of the atmosphere to try to develop along it. You can clearly see our trough line right here. Clouds are moving in different directions at the mid levels and the low levels of the atmosphere. So you're getting spin or vorticity, you're getting lift as well. Now, again, the biggest concentration is well north of the islands, but it's a very interesting feature. You get into the Lesser Antilles and the U.S. and British Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico for today, and it's the fast-moving easterlies that have brought about some showers. This is the visible satellite imagery. First of all, note how fast the clouds are moving. They are ripping across the area right now. Antigua and Barbuda, in Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis, and St. Martin, and Saba and Anguilla, on over towards Anegada and Rotown, Tortola, and Yost Van Dyke, St. Thomas, St. Croix, and St. John. And again, all the numbers that you see are wind gusts in miles an hour. And, you know, it's been a pretty steady breeze of around 20 to 25 miles an hour in a lot of these areas. This is the live radar out of Puerto Rico. The best concentration of rain right now is in the southwest side of Puerto Rico, Yauco on over towards Mayaguez. Again, these are ripping, fast-moving showers. They're going to dump a little bit of rain. Some of that could be a good, heavy downpour, but it's not going to stick around in any one area for any large amount of time. So we're not worried about any flooding or anything like that. And there's been a few spotty showers for Culebra on over towards Vieques and portions of the U.S. and British Virgin Islands. And again, at the hour right now, a couple of showers rolling through Virgin Gorda and Tortola. Have a picture to show you from today. Brian Lindsay cruising around there on the old sailboat across the British Virgin Islands and other areas sent me this one in. You can clearly see again, nice little storm here. Good rain shaft, good downpour. I'm sure it's a fast-moving shower racing across the British Virgin Islands. Brian didn't tell me exactly where the BVI, but he's out there cruising around, and I appreciate him sending in that photo. And if you would like to send me a photo to help tell the weather story across the Caribbean and the Bahamas, all you got to do is send me that picture or video at mymeteomundo@gmail.com. Just include your name, where, of course, the picture or video is from. You want to give me a brief description to help out as well. I appreciate that. mymeteomundo@gmail.com. Appreciate Brian and others sending those in. All right, so back over to what's been happening for today. I'll get rid of the radar data. We'll bring back on our sat data and put this back into motion. It's been relatively quiet farther south that you go from here. We've had a couple of spotty showers and some breezes, places like, Montserrat and Guadalupe and Dominica, all with fast moving showers. Nothing is going to be appreciably heavy or at least concentrated, but again, nice easterlies kicking in. If I switch back over to the water vapor imagery here and bring that up, you'll see that the air is in red. It's relatively dry, right? Again, that feature with a lot of moisture trying to wrap around it right now, but in the Eastern Caribbean in general, we've dried out the air a bit. So it's not a high concentration of what we call precipitable water or moisture content in the atmosphere. So you're just not going to get, first of all, concentrated rain, but you're also going to see these showers moving so darn fast. I'm not worried about anything when it comes to any flash flooding or anything like that. But again, a good downpour for Trinidad and Tobago and Grenada, not out of the question. It's a little bit drier, but can't rule out a couple of showers lifting north towards our friends in Nueva Esparta. ABC Islands have been basically dry here. Again, a brief passing shower with some of this quick moving cloud coverage is not out of the question. Another little shear axis, you can clearly see that the upper level winds are moving northeast here. The surface-based winds are moving out of the east. Now, anytime you have the confluence of winds, you can spark up a shower or two. Generally speaking, even though that's happening just south of Jamaica, we haven't had a lot of rain. If you had a couple of showers in Jamaica for today, let me know. I think the northeast coastline has had the best opportunity. You can see some of that cloud coverage there, but overall for my friends in Jamaica, many dry hours and locations. A couple of spotted showers trying to develop across portions of the Dominican Republic and Haiti at the hour. Back over to the enhanced satellite imagery. Again, not a lot of enhanced development of the cloud coverage for today, just to show you that. So back over to the viz. But again, couple of spotted showers, inland sides of the island, towards the eastern sides of Haiti. Not out of the question for today, but not extremely concentrated. And again, the moisture content's a little bit better along the Caribbean coastline of the Central America area, Panama and Costa Rica and Honduras and Nicaragua. And then you have this nice little thick cloud coverage here rolling over portions of the Bay Islands back towards coastal Guatemala and Belize, where we've had some decent rain in spots. Again, it's not everyone getting some of this heavier rain, but there's been the opportunity underneath this thicker cloud coverage to have some spotty heavier showers. A lot of this activity in this area has actually been more nighttime into the daybreak hours rather than developing into the afternoon, but certainly some cloud coverage there. And again, back over to the visible and then assuming the water vapor imagery here, you can see that some of the moisture is trying to move off the Yucatan, coming back over towards Cuba. You have dry air in place right now for our friends in the Bahamas, but changes are on the way with a sharp December cold front with some rain and maybe a few storms, and then some cooler and drier weather coming back in. So let's get into the forecast, friends. As we do so, thank you for liking this video. Thank you for subscribing to Meteo Mundo. We're on our way to 50,000 subscribers. We'd love to get there in short order, and only you can help do that by hitting that subscribe button right now. Thank you for sharing this with your family and friends, and of course, appreciate everyone finding ways to support the channel. Again, we're out of hurricane season, right? So what I'm going to talk about coming up is something that is interesting, but again, we're beyond the best time to actually develop a storm that would actually wrap up and have impacts. That being said, we can still get these hybrid systems this time of the year. The ocean heat content is still very impressive in the central and the eastern sides of the Caribbean. Sea surface temperatures are still running above 30 degrees Celsius, okay? That's still extremely hot weather. Relatively speaking, and the depth of the heat content of the oceans is pretty darn good there, especially in the Caribbean at this point in time. We're not going to get anything to develop in the Gulf. You're not going to get anything to develop in the western side of the Atlantic, but this area is an interesting one. But let's talk about how what I see playing out in the Atlantic is going to bring us impact-wise. Again, you have this sheared line. And this time of the year, you can get broad spins to develop with that. So the first thing I want to look at here is the GFS model and talk about what it's showing for today. Last video, we had some vorticity, which is spin in the atmosphere, and we had a pretty good concentration of rain. We had two different things. We had a broad area, and then we had almost like a donut hole kind of developing behind that. Now the GFS, and this is the deterministic model, you can clearly see this broad spin of the reflectivity. I mean, you guys can pick up on that. Majority of that stays north of the Leeward Islands and the Greater Antilles, okay? But that being said, nice little spin there, right? we'll see how much it can dive south and west. This would be a wind maker. This could be a heavy rain maker for portions of the Lesser Antilles and the British Virgin Islands and U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. Now, the GFS, as broad as that is, takes it close to the southeast Bahamas and Turks and Caicos, and then brings it back north, and it begins to merge, as these things do a lot, with a cold front coming off the United States East Coast, and that could be Bermuda's problem down the road in about a week. Okay, now Bermuda is used to some extremely strong winds this time of the year, and they can get caught up in these hybrid systems. And if that one kind of tries to develop over that area again, it could be pretty rough there. But that's just one solution from one model at this point in time. But you get the idea of the active weather we could see here, kind of in the central to western Atlantic. I mean, it's not the true western Atlantic, but it's not the true central Atlantic either. It's just kind of wedged in between, just northeast of the Lesser Antilles. If I switch over to the vorticity product here, again, this is spin in the atmosphere. So we take away the rain, and now we're just looking at basically lift in the atmosphere as a composite at the low levels, okay? There it is right there, clear as day, right? More than anything, not truly surface-based. Now, I want to be clear, even when we look at the European and the GFS ensembles, and you're going to see some areas of low pressure being developed from this, none of them are highlighting this to be a true tropical system, meaning that, you know, it's very unlikely we're going to get a tropical depression to develop out of this, but this broad spin is going to be impactful. You can see that the initial push of vorticity on the GFS model wants to dive it south and west, closer to Anguilla and Barbuda and Antigua and St. Bart's and Anegada and St. Thomas and St. Croix and St. John and Tortola there in the British Virgin Islands. So I would expect our rain chances to start to increase again beginning tomorrow and into Wednesday in these spots. It's a small feature, but it's one that's going to have impacts for these areas, and that would include Puerto Rico and then portions of the Dominican Republic and Haiti. Now, the GFS actually turns this back north, and you notice that secondary to this, you get an even larger spin to come in. But that one is not going to have as much impacts because it's going to be more mid-level based than anything else. And then it will start to run into that cold front that I mentioned here and not go much farther west. But it's an interesting feature nonetheless. Now, when I show you the European ensemble members, right, we look at this product at the heart of hurricane season, you're going to see that the European ensemble does have an area of low pressure near the Leeward Islands as we get into Friday and Saturday. It's very brief here. I didn't stop it because I wanted you guys to pick this up, but watch that coming in right there, okay? Now again, the potential for tropical depression on the ensemble members is still 0%. So this is not a true tropical system, but this could be some impactful weather here with wind and rain to monitor. And again, a broad spin could really pick up the wind. Now the GFS, which did not have this as of Friday, but began to pick up on that same solution starting over the weekend. And you can clearly see about 1,003 at the lowest millibar area of low pressure at the surface, by the way, skirts the Leeward Islands, the U.S. and British Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, and then returns back up to the north. And the timing of this would be beginning to kind of develop as we get into our Friday and then into Saturday, so over the weekend here, and then situated over the area there Saturday afternoon and into Sunday, and then drifting back up to the north, okay? So it's a feature to monitor, right? I think this is gonna be our most active weather. Now look, we can get subtropical storms this time of the year, right? We can get storms that are hybrid storms, and they do bear names. Now again, the Hurricane Center is not, at this point in time, discussing this. It's something I'm gonna be monitoring here, but the clear inherent spin is going to just bring some active weather to this spot. So rain chances regardless are going to be going up again for these areas. So let's get into that, at least part of the forecast, right? You can see that there's a fair amount of green on this map over the next couple days. I would expect the winds to actually even freshen up more. That's probably going to bring back our high surf and sea advisory, so keep that in mind. We're going to have to watch out for swells for our boaters, so Anguilla and St. Bart's and St. Barton, St. Kitts and Nevis, Barbuda Bermuda and Antigua and Montserrat and Guadeloupe. I think those are the areas in the Lesser Antilles most impacted. And then all of the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, all of Puerto Rico, the eastern sides of the Dominican Republic, and the northern coastline. So from Punta Cana to the Samana Peninsula up towards Puerto Plata, these are the areas most impacted by this. And that doesn't mean Santo Domingo won't get some decent rain out of it, right? But the wind will be a little bit higher on the northern sides. We could get some wind for the Turks and Caicos, for the southeast Bahamas. Again, we have our cold front coming in as well. So the impacts of both of those. Now, the GFS isn't as robust early on with this front actually making a lot of hay, but there it comes right there. And there's going to be an increase in rain for later in the week for Walker's Key and Freeport, Lucaya, and Grand Bahama, and the Abacos and Nassau, New Providence, and Andros, Central Bahamas as well, Cat Island, Exuma, back down towards the Acklins, right? But probably not being directly impacted by this. This should veer off towards the east because that cold front's going to have a southwest wind ahead of it. And we'll take a look at those winds coming up here in just a second as well. Now, the farther south that you go in the Lesser Antilles, not as impacted, but still the easterly. So spotty showers, nice little blow up of energy there coming out of South America. It's something to monitor this time of the year as well. We get those from time to time, but will they directly impact the Windward Islands is a question mark. But so Martinique, Dominica South to St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, all generally speaking, more isolated showers than anything else. Only a few spotty showers for Nueva Esparta. Same situation for the ABC Islands as well. My friends in Jamaica will be enjoying a relatively quiet next few days. Can't rule out a couple of isolated showers here or there, but there's just not a lot of moisture to play with at this point in time. So a couple of spotty showers are possible. You can clearly see that there on the model. But again, high concentration, I don't expect that. Cayman Islands as well. Again, GFS is a little bit more robust with some of the rain late in the period, but at least through Thursday, I'm not expecting a lot. Look, this front is going to be able to come down into the Yucatan and at least provide the opportunity for some showers there. I mean, watch it march in all the way back down into portions of Central America, but it's almost very fast moving on the GFS. I mean, again, watch kind of this blow up here as we get into our Wednesday afternoon, where again, it's like a burst of rain for Cancun and Cozumel, and then it kind of just, it's more concentrated a little bit farther to the south, but eventually it all kind of fizzles out as well. But again, for Belize City and Dangriga and Roatan, Guanaja areas, La Ceiba, 40 to a 50% chance as this comes through. And that's actually outside of the northern Lesser Antilles, some of the highest rain chances that I have. Cuba's rain chances will stay relatively scattered, and Bermuda, again, could be in for some pretty active weather. And they are used to that this time of the year as these stronger cold fronts begin to have a little bit more of an impact. All right, so showing these winds, let's take a look at that. And I'm just going to take this out a couple of days because we don't need to get crazy here. Let's actually go out one more day here. All right, so again, this time of the year, legit cold fronts can work their way into our northwest areas, and that's exactly what's going to be happening for the Bahamas, portions of Cuba, the Yucatan, into the northern sides of Central America. Now, on the periphery of that, here's all these strong winds, and you can see this kink here. That's going to be the surface reflection of the mid-level spin, okay? Notice it's not wrapped up tight like we would have in, August and September when we would really be tracking a true tropical system. But do you see that kink right there? Clear as day, right? That little kink right here is going to be the surface reflection of that mid-level spin. And that's what's going to be moving into this area to bring some active weather. Again, for a lot of the Lesser Antilles, it's going to be mainly due easterly winds. But for the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico and Hispaniola, it's more of a north wind, which is why I'm focused more on the northern coastlines of these areas, because that's where the wind direction is going to be coming into. And oh, by the way, there's going to be strong winds through the Turks and Caicos and the Bahamas behind this front as well. Small craft caution, small craft advisories are in effect right now already, and then we'll watch to see if this near gale warning or even a gale warning returns to portions of the Bahamas. I mean, these pinks are winds of 30 miles an hour. hour. And these are sustained winds at the surface. So we've got brisk winds. And as our friends in Cuba and the Cayman Islands and Jamaica knows, that wind a lot of the time this time of the year is actually out of the northeast. It's strong, but it's a nice little drier air as well. And those northeast winds will be able to work their way all the way to the Caribbean coast. So breaking down the rain chance based on everything I showed you, island by island, it looks like this. Northwest Bahamas still basically dry tomorrow. Rain chance will begin to improve as the cold front swings in on Wednesday and Thursday. Winds will pick up. Obviously, they'll be out of the south to begin with, southwest, and then turn out of the north and eventually east behind the front. Central and southeast Bahamas will slowly climb to a 30% chance on Thursday, isolated to scattered showers for Turks and Caicos. 30% chance for Cuba, 20% chance for the Cayman Islands the next couple of days. Rain chances build in Belize City up to a 50% chance on Thursday. Late Tuesday into Wednesday, there could be this one little period of enhanced rain for Cancun and Cozumel, but the front's moving so fast it's not going to last long. So generally speaking, it's more isolated showers than anything else outside of that 6 to 12 hour window at best. Again, Jamaica, not a huge chance for showers here the next few days. I'd favor the eastern side of the island, if anyone. Dominican Republic, 40% chance Tuesday, Wednesday, 30 on Thursday. Could begin to go back up again on Friday. We'll see how that plays out. And again, closer to that feature, Puerto Rico and the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, higher rain chances the next couple of days. Slightly drier Thursday. Rain chances could begin to improve again on Friday. Bermuda, again, it's spotty rain. The wind is going to be another big factor, but if we can get anything to try and wrap up near Bermuda, obviously these rain chances would change, especially towards the weekend. Anguilla, St. Kitts and Nevis, now you're talking 60% chance for showers tomorrow, 40 Wednesday, so 30 to 40 on Thursday, 60% chance for our friends in Antigua and Barbuda, 40 Wednesday, Thursday, Montserrat, 50, 40 to a 30. So relatively speaking, beginning to dry out a bit. Then you get, again, like I said, south of Dominica, and it's more the easterlies just popping off some fast-moving showers rather than that concentration of rain to the north. So Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, 20 to a 30% chance. I actually expect in the Windward Islands rain chances to kind of reverse that trend and improve beginning Wednesday and into Thursday. So Barbados, mainly dry tomorrow, back up to a 40% chance on Thursday. Scattered rain for Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, again, generally improving by late in week. Suriname and Guyana with a 30 to a 40% chance. Nueva Esparta, ABC Islands, we'll just see a few isolated showers. Here comes the winds. Here comes the waves. And you can see there's a lot of that in the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic thanks to that cold front. Nice little piece of energy there in central sides of the Caribbean as well. Again, you can see the wind direction will flop as that cold front comes in, but generally south of that, it's going to mainly be easterlies, except in the northern sides of, again, I mentioned the Greater Antilles and onto the Bahamas. It's going to be more of a northeast breeze than anything else. Now, rain totals, of course, will be varied significantly. We can see the rain coming in with that cold front clearly. We can also see our feature north and east of the Lesser Antilles and the rain coming in with that moving in towards the end of the period. So few areas of maximum. Generally speaking, I do believe that the heaviest rain will stay north and east of the Lesser and Greater Antilles with this feature, but if it dives a little bit farther south and west, that will improve the rain chance, but it's a much larger field of wind. You can see some of the scattered showers with the easterlies over portions of the Lesser Antilles. Still along the Caribbean coastline of Central America, we could have some excessive rainfall. We still have to monitor that all the way from Panama up towards Belize. And again, it's just a little bit more scattered in nature as it is this time of the year in the Bahamas and Cuba and portions of Jamaica and the Dominican Republic and Haiti. But generally speaking, there'll be a couple of spots with the opportunity to pick up a couple of inches of rain over the next few days. That was the European model. This is the GFS model. They're basically lockstep, guys. Again, still concentrated on the Caribbean coastline of Central America over the next several days for what could be some excessive rainfall. So Costa Rica and Panama, and again, you're looking at 6 inches or 150 millimeters is not out of the question. There's your secondary maximum as the cold front comes in near Belize City and some of the coastal island areas as well, Dangriga, and then there's Roatan and Utila. So you're looking at, again, 2.5, maybe 3 inches of rain, a couple of these spots, kind of a maximum there offshore of nearly 4 inches of rain. Notice again, even though the GFS had some good rain over Cancun, it moves so fast, Cancun and Cozumel will probably be left with around 1 inch of rain at most. Even though the cold front comes in, there's not a ton of rain for places like Freeport and Nassau, maybe up to 1/4 of an inch. But if you haven't had a lot of rain, that's more than what you've seen, if nothing else. Again, the GFS, just like I do, favors the northeast side of the Dominican Republic for some heavier rain from Puerto Plata towards the Samana area. Santo Domingo could still get some scattered heavier rain, but it's just not as concentrated there. And there's your feature with all the rain and where all the lightning is right now. And again, several inches there. So we'll see if that fires off and brings anything more than that into these areas. But outside of that, it's going to be such fast moving showers that, again, I'm not too concerned about the overall amount of rain. It's just more active weather, more active conditions. And the wind will be an issue as well. Now, closer to Trinidad and Tobago, especially towards Thursday, Friday, right? This takes us out until that time frame here. This is where we could have some of that heavy rain redeveloping in TNT, back towards Grenada, and again, scattered showers for the ABC Islands, but nothing that's extremely concentrated. That's too far of a zoom, but that's okay. We can fix that. And then for my friends in Jamaica, as I mentioned, the eastern side of the island, slightly better chance. There is an opportunity that Port Antonio could get an inch of rain in the next few days, and Negril and Lucy and Montego Bay hardly see a drop, if any. That's how it plays out this time of the year sometimes, friends. Hey, I appreciate you guys. You can follow us across all social media. How about Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook? As I've said, you want to send me a picture or video, it's myMediaMundo@gmail.com. As always, you have a specific question about the forecast, you can feel free to drop it in the comment section below. And please, while you're down there, if you would like to help support the channel, all you got to do is like this video and subscribe as well. Appreciate you guys. I'm back soon with the latest forecast. And then until then, you guys take care. I'll see you soon right here at Meteo Mundo.